On a warm summer evening in June 2009, 10-year-old Lindsay Baum vanished while walking home alone in the small town of McCleary, Washington. Her disappearance would baffle investigators for years and leave a community forever changed. Lindsay was described as a vibrant, talkative girl full of life. She had moved to McCleary from Tennessee with her mother Melissa and older brother Josh after her parents' divorce. The quiet town of 1,500 people seemed like the perfect place for a fresh start. Lindsay quickly adjusted to life there, making new friends and enjoying the safe, close-knit community. On the night of June 26, 2009, Lindsay spent the evening at her friend Michaela's house just a few blocks from home. Around 9:30 p.m., she left to walk home alone. It was a short 10-minute walk she had made many times before. But on this night, Lindsay never arrived home. When Lindsay failed to return by dark, her mother became worried and started searching for her. By 11 p.m., with no sign of Lindsay, Melissa called 911 to report her missing. This set off an extensive search effort that would last for days and involve hundreds of people. Local police, volunteer firefighters, and community members immediately began scouring the area. In the following days, the search expanded to include over 240 people, conducting ground searches, along with air searches, rescue dogs, and horseback patrols. Divers searched local waterways while investigators went door to door questioning residents along Lindsay's route home. How could a young girl simply vanish on a short walk in such a small town where everyone knew each other? It was a question that would perplex investigators and haunt the community for years to come. As days passed with no sign of Lindsay, it became clear this was not a case of a runaway or accident. Investigators shifted to treating her disappearance as a likely abduction. They developed a list of about 40 persons of interest to investigate further. In the course of their investigation, police uncovered some disturbing details. Lindsay had apparently had a premonition of danger just a day before she went missing. She told her mother, "Mom, I just have this really bad feeling that something bad is going to happen." Lindsay couldn't explain the feeling, but her words would prove tragically prophetic. Additionally, police learned of two concerning incidents in the week prior to Lindsay's disappearance. She and a friend reported that a man had entered the bathroom while they were at a local park. In a separate incident, Lindsay and a friend believed someone in a white car was following them. Surveillance footage from the night Lindsay vanished showed a white vehicle matching the description in the area around the time she would have been walking home. However, investigators were unable to definitively connect this to her disappearance. As the investigation progressed, two persons of interest in particular drew scrutiny from investigators. One was an unnamed man who had been staying at a house near where Lindsay was last seen walking. When initially interviewed, he claimed he had never left the house that night and didn't know Lindsay. However, witness accounts and other evidence later proved he had lied about his whereabouts and activities on the night in question. The second person of interest was Tim Hartman, a local business owner. Hartman initially told police he was out of town on the night Lindsay disappeared, doing EMT training and responding to an ambulance call. However, surveillance footage later showed Hartman at a store in McCleary, making a purchase around the time Lindsay went missing. His shop was located on the street where she was last seen. When confronted with this evidence, Hartman claimed he had simply forgotten about being in town earlier than he thought. He maintained he had no involvement in Lindsay's disappearance. However, his false statements to police raised suspicions. Hartman initially cooperated with the investigation, but later refused to speak further with detectives. Years passed with no resolution to the case. Lindsay's mother, Melissa, was devastated, describing the pain as a constant ache in your heart. The impact on the small town of McCleary was profound. As one investigator put it, it literally took the innocence of that community and erased it. Melissa recalled watching the movie Taken with Lindsay just 2 weeks before she vanished. After the film, Lindsay had asked if things like that really happen. Melissa's warning to her daughter about the dangers in the world now seemed like a cruel foreshadowing. As the investigation dragged on, theories abounded, but hard evidence remained elusive. Was Lindsay abducted by a stranger passing through town? Or was someone local responsible for her disappearance? Without any clear evidence pointing to a particular scenario, investigators were unable to focus on a specific theory or clear any suspects with certainty. The case garnered national attention, featured on crime shows and news programs. Age-progressed images were created to show what Lindsay might look like as she grew older. A $35,000 reward was offered for information leading to her whereabouts and the arrest of those responsible. But despite continued efforts by law enforcement and Lindsay's family to keep the case in the public eye, years passed without any significant break. In 2017, nearly 8 years after Lindsay vanished, there was finally a major development in the case. Human remains were discovered in a remote wooded area about 2 hours from McCleary. Several months later, authorities confirmed through DNA testing that the remains belonged to Lindsay Baum. The discovery of Lindsay's remains provided some answers, but also raised new questions. How did she end up so far from where she disappeared? Was she taken there alive, or were her remains moved there later? And most importantly, who was responsible for her death? For Lindsay's mother, Melissa, the confirmation of her daughter's death was devastating, but also provided a degree of closure after years of uncertainty. "I had to know," she said. "I had to know where she was." The investigation shifted to focus on how Lindsay's remains ended up at that location, and who might have knowledge of the area. However, no arrests have been made in the years since the discovery. The case remains open and active, with investigators still determined to bring Lindsay's killer to justice. Melissa Baum continues to advocate for her daughter and other missing children. She has channeled her grief into efforts to help other families of missing persons and push for laws to protect children. "I have to believe that it's going to be solved," she says. "And if it's not in my lifetime, I promise I will hunt from the grave whoever was involved." The disappearance and death of Lindsay Baum forever changed the town of McCleary and serves as a tragic reminder that even small, close-knit communities are not immune to predators. Her case highlights the devastating impact when a child vanishes and the long-lasting effects on family and community. As the investigation continues, authorities urge anyone with information about Lindsay's disappearance or death to come forward. Even small details could potentially break the case. The $35,000 reward remains in place for information leading to an arrest and conviction. Lindsay's story also underscores the importance of teaching children about personal safety, while also fostering communities where they can grow and thrive without fear. Her mother, Melissa, emphasizes the need for parents to be vigilant and trust their instincts when it comes to their children's safety. The mystery of what happened to Lindsay Baum that summer night in 2009 may never be fully solved, but investigators and her family remain committed to seeking justice and ensuring her story is not forgotten. Lindsay's bright spirit and the tragedy of her loss continue to touch lives and serve as a catalyst for efforts to protect other children from harm. As the years pass, the hope remains that someone will come forward with the crucial piece of information needed to finally close this case. Until then, Lindsay's memory lives on in the hearts of those who knew her and the countless others touched by her story. Her disappearance serves as a somber reminder of the preciousness of life and the enduring power of a community united in the face of tragedy.